Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the tier list series Risk of Rain 2, one episode per type of item. Today, we are starting off with the white items, gray items, common items. I don't care what you call them. I usually call them gray because they look gray to me. We're going to go through every single item, talk about it a little bit. I'll show a couple little clips explaining some things, people who don't really know what the items do or want to know a little bit more and just know how good they are in your runs. I'm going to talk about them. This will be like a weekly series, so each type of item, whether common, green, red, orange, yellow, whatever, every episode will have a different set of items. Sit back and enjoy. Let's go through the tiers real quick, pretty fast. First, we have print everything you have. You're going all in on these items. These are your run savers. Every run needs one. That's self-explanatory. Great to have, because every run should have at least one of these. Only scrap if you need to. If you have to scrap it, maybe you can scrap it, but they're still very good items. Then we have C. Then we have begrudgingly keep, which items that you're not thrilled that you get, and you most likely are going to scrap, but sometimes you'd be like, maybe it's helpful. Then we have scrap away. You could scrap these all day long, no problem. Then we have runaway. Don't even pick them up. Leave them on the floor. Don't even look at them. They don't deserve your attention. They're terrible. We're going to put every one of the gray items today in these categories. Let's get started with the white scrap. White scrap is going to start off our C tier because you don't know what you're going to get from it. You can scrap all the bad items, make this, and then you can print it later, but you don't know what printers you're going to find, so it's a completely mid-tier item. You have no clue what you're going to get. Focus Crystal. Focus Crystal actually also going to be a C. Focus Crystal increases damage for close range attacks. And you'll notice a pattern for a lot of these C tier items. They're very survivor based. So Railgunner, who has a sniper, isn't going to get much use at all out of a Focus Crystal, which is close range attacks. That's just not helpful. But Mercenary, or Acrid, or characters that have melee builds, extremely helpful item. Personal Shield Generator, also known as the PSG. Scrap away. What the PSG does is it gives you a little bit of shield. Look at how bad the shield is. Look at how small that is. A little mini tiny baby shield? Get out of here. Useless. Then we have the Topaz Brooch. Actually, virtually the same item. Gives you a little bit of barrier, which is different than shield, to be fair. But barrier on kill. Not that helpful. Good in looping runs, but for just a normal run through, it's just not going to give you that much help. Then we have the Bustling Fungus. Also a scrap away tier. There are some instances when this is helpful, but very few, and it just takes too long to heal. When you stand still for a second or two, then you start to heal and you cannot move. Movement is so important in this game, so having to stand still to heal is just not worth. Then we have the Rusted Key. I'm going to put up here with only scrap if you need to. Rusted Key, basically the next stage you enter. There'll be a little lockbox hidden somewhere on the stage, and it will have the same odds as a legend or a large chest. 20% chance for a red item, 80% chance for a green item, and it comes from a white item. And the void version, the corrupted version of this item, the encrusted key, is real freaking nice. So to find one of these, pretty solid. Then we have the Goat Hoof. Runaway. You do not want to literally run away because it's the best item ever and you'll run really fast. This is a top tier item. Goat Hoof, Paul's Goat Hoof is one of the greatest items in the game. Usually you start a run like this. Okay, look at how slow this is. I'm barely moving. You get a couple of Goat Hoofs in there now. Look at how fast we're moving. Movement is so important in Risk of Rain 2 because if you don't get hit, you don't need healing. And healing is a lot harder to come by. So in terms of damage reduction and survivability, speed is going to get you there much better than healing does. So if you find a Goat Hoof like Printer, you're going all in. Then we have the Soldier's Syringe. That's also going to go in only scrap if you need to. It increases your fire rate. pretty self-explanatory. Some heroes can use it, some don't. It's helpful on most survivors, so nice to have, but if you need to scrap it, you can. Then we have the War Banner. This should be one of the first items you scrap when you find a scrapper. This is what the War Banner does. When you level up, a little yellow ring will appear. While you are inside of that ring, you have extra movement speed and extra attack speed. The minute you leave, it's over. It lasts an entire stage, cool, but you just don't level up enough, and the radius is small, and the benefit's small. It's just not worth keeping as an item. Then we have the Sticky Bomb. I'm gonna put it in C. Sticky Bomb is a very mid-tier item. It used to be broken back in the day, but Sticky Bomb now is just meh. On hit, there's a chance on every hit for you to attach a little Sticky Bomb to an enemy. Does some damage, but the damage isn't super great. It's just not one of the best on-hit items, so we're gonna keep it in C. Then we have the Backup Magazine, also gonna go in C. Gives you an extra use of your secondary ability. Cool for some survivors like a Huntress or a Artificer who have a really strong secondary ability, but pretty bad for survivors that don't have a strong secondary ability, like, let's say, Captain, or especially Railgunner, who just aims with his secondary, so it's almost pointless. So, very dependent on the survivor. Med Kit. Scrap away. A lot of healing items are going to be scrap away. Medkit, when you receive a decent chunk of damage, in a second or two you will heal a part of that damage back. Not super reliable, you have to get hit in order to use it, and the healing itself isn't that great, so you can get rid of it most of the time. Mocha. Hey, let's play that clip back from before. Slow running, fast running. That's what it's all about. Mocha combines the benefits of the Goat Hoof and the Soldier Syringe. It gives you half the benefit of a Soldier Syringe and half the benefit of a Goat Hoof. So 1 Goat Hoof plus 1 Soldier Syringe equals 2 Mochas. If you find a Mocha printer, you're in, baby. That's a run saver. Absolutely top tier. Then we have Cautious Slug. Every run needs a Cautious Slug. This is one of the healing items that is really, really good. So I think it's one of the best in the game. It actually might be the best. It's certainly the best gray healing item in the game, but it's probably one of the best healing items in the game. Totally. Very, very good. Just does passive healing when out of combat, and it's a pretty decent chunk of passive healing. So that's a very solid item. If you find 1 or 2, you're in a great spot. The Crowbar, dealing damage to enemies that are over 90% health. Very survivor-based. Somebody like a Loader or a Railgunner who does giant chunks of damage get huge value out of a Crowbar on high health enemies, because that initial hit can take an enemy from full to like half. But if you use it on like a Commando who has just a gun, and just like a machine gun, you're not going to get a lot of value, and once you drop below 90%, it's useless. So we're going to put it at C just for the usability of it. Energy drink. When sprinting, your movement speed is decently increased. It is a faster increase than Paul's Goat Hoof, but only applies while you're sprinting. So I'm going to put in every run needs 1. I don't necessarily think you can just all in print, because I do think Goat Hoof and Mocha are objectively better, because the dichotomy between really fast and really slow is really difficult to manage and can put you in some really tough spots. So more consistent speed is better, but energy drink still a good tier item. Stun grenade, chance on hit to stun an enemy. I'm gonna say scrap away. There's probably instances where this is good, but personally I have never once noticed this item taking effect. And bosses can't be stunned either. I don't think Mythics can even be stunned. I could be wrong though. Just not that helpful, especially for survivors without a high fire rate, like a Loader. I think you could scrap this no problem. The Delicate Watch. I'm putting in only scrap if you need to. I understand that it can be higher. A Delicate Watch works like this. It gives you 20% more damage, flat, on everything that you do. Wonderful. The problem is, once you reach 25% health or below, it breaks. And you do not get that watch back. That baby gone. So, having this is a high risk, high reward type of item, and so I don't think you should print everything you have for them, because most of the time it's going to break, but I wouldn't ever scrap it. However, the opal is going to be one slot above. I think every run needs an opal, baby. Come on! Just good, a little bit of armor, a little bit of damage reduction on the first hit you take every couple of seconds. Just a really good item that'll give you a little bit of damage reduction here and there. No downside at all, just top-notch stuff. Then we have the Tri-Tip Dagger. I used to really love this item, but I have to put it in begrudgingly keep. It's only effective on a couple of survivors, and the best one would be Commando. Commando's incredible with bleed. It's one of the top items you should look for. However, on a lot of other survivors, bleed, not that good. Chance on hit to apply a stack of bleed. And the stack of bleed is infinite, so you can have 2 stacks of bleed, cool, or you can have like 500 stacks of bleed if you know what you're doing. The problem is, you need a high fire rate, because if no more bleed is applied after a short period of time, all of it goes away. So you need consistent chances to proc bleed, otherwise it's just not helpful. The Repulsion Armor Plate, you'll often hear me in my videos call this RAP. It's just short for Repulsion Armor Plate. Every run needs one of these, baby. I don't think you should ever print into it very much, but it's very helpful to have like 1 to 3 of them. Super helpful for just little pesky enemies like wisps or blind pest. It's just a little bit of damage reduction. It's 5 damage reduction whenever you get hit. So a little bit of benefit. Also helps with the Blood Pillar on the Moon. Just a pretty helpful item that I thought was underrated for a while. Tougher Times Teddy. I'm going to put in only scrap if you need to. It has a 15% chance to block the next instance of incoming damage. That's pretty nice. The problem is, when you get more teddies, it doesn't keep adding 15%. So it's not 15, 30, 45. It's hyperbolic, which means it's like 15, 25, 31. It becomes less and less every time. I don't know the exact percentages, but if you have 100 teddy bears, it's not, 1,000% chance. It's still like a 80% chance. So it's stacking them isn't that helpful, but it is a nice item, and the chance to turn it into the corrupted version is worth keeping it. Monster Tooth, I'm gonna barely put in begrudgingly keep, and the reason for that is it's actually not that bad of a healing item. A lot of people don't like it. Monster Tooth is a nice passive heal. On kill, an enemy will drop a small healing orb. That's pretty dope. They don't give a lot of healing, and later in Eclipse, healing is reduced by 50%. So you start to lose out on even more healing. But if you have one, especially at the beginning of your run, it can be really helpful to get that extra little bit of health. The Bison Steak. Come here. Bring it in. Bring it in. This item's trash. This item's so bad. I'll be honest, you should never leave it on the ground. But this item is dog water. I mean, it's a bad item. And I for some reason, I don't know why it likes me so much, the Bison Steak printers show up in like every run that I do. And I do not know why it shows up so much, because I repeatedly tell it how much I dislike it. All it does is it gives you 25 health. Not 25% health, just 25. As your character levels up, you gain health automatically. And so a lot of times you'll be ending a run with like 1,000 health. You're telling me this item gives me 25 more? Gross. It's terrible. It should be scrapped immediately. Garbage item. What's not a garbage item is gasoline. If you watch my Eclipse runs, I do Eclipse runs every Sunday. Super fun. And I stream a couple times a week. Check it out. Shameless plug. I beg for a gasoline every run. However, it's only in the second tier. Every run needs one. It's really important to have at least one on most characters, but it's really not that important to have two. 2 is nice, 3 is nice, 4 is nice, 50 is wonderful. But having that first one is really important. Having more than that is just a little bit of added benefit. Still an incredible item though. When an enemy dies, it lights all the enemies around it on fire. Super helpful for wave clear. Then we have armor piercing rounds. Now this one's a little tricky because I want to put it on one of these top 2, and I think I'm going to put it in the top. I think it's barely a print everything you have item. Really, really nice. A lot of these items are based on how they will do against Mithrix, the final boss. Once you're good enough at the game, you start to build your build surrounding that final fight because you're confident you can get through the other 5 stages. Armor piercing rounds are just on the cusp of those top 2 tiers, right in between. It's 20, I think it's 20%, could be 25% extra damage to bosses. So only bosses, but it's an extremely good item because that Mithrix fight all 3 phases, including the add phase, it's helpful on. So definitely recommend printing 5 or 6 armor piercing rounds if you find a printer. The power elixir, I'm going to put in begrudgingly keep. Power elixir works similarly to the delicate watch, where it breaks if you get to 25% or less health. However, when that event happens, it will pop and refill your health. I think it gives you 75% health gain. Very nice, and it can save a run. It has saved multiple runs of mine. And if you have a power elixir and a watch, it will break before the watch does, refill your health, and you still have the watch. However, later versions of Eclipse, like past Eclipse 5, where healing is halved, it's not as good, and especially without watches, it's just not that helpful. And it's not a very reliable form of healing. So I'm going to put it in begrudgingly keep. Then we have lens makers glasses. That's easy. It's going right up here and every run needs one. It could be argued to print everything you have. Some characters do better than others. For lens makers glasses, straight up give you a 10% chance to crit. So double damage. So if you have 10 of them, you have a 100% chance to crit. Just nice, no downside, and yeah, you should print a couple of them. You find a printer, you can get 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them, however many you want. Good item. Then we have the roll of pennies, also going to go into begrudgingly keep. Roll of pennies, upon taking damage, you get gold. Gold's how you buy all the other items in this page, so pretty helpful, but you have to take damage in order to get the money, and the gold is not indicative based on the amount of damage you took. So if you get hit with an Elder Lemurian Blast, you get 3 gold. And if you get hit with Little Wisp Attack, you get 3 gold. So there are instances where you can really utilize this to get money, but it's just not the best source to do it, because you could just kill more enemies. Finally, we reach fireworks. Now my buddy Ian is going to be upset, because he hates fireworks, and I used to put fireworks in the scrap away tier. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm a changed man. Fireworks are underrated. This is the hottest take you'll see today. I'm only putting it in C. Okay, it's only C. It's really, look, it's not a game-breaking item. But it's a very fun item when you interact with something on a stage, such as a chest, or a shrine, or anything like that, even teleporter. A bunch of fireworks shoot up in the air and homing strike other enemies. That's helpful, especially early on when you're dealing with a lot of aerial enemies. If you have a melee build, that can be tough to deal with, so shooting the fireworks all around while you loot is really nice. And there's also kind of a cheesy way to fight Mithrix with fireworks and a whole deal, which is kind of fun, and just added bonus, but I won't go into that too much. But fireworks, I think, deserves a C. I don't think it should be scrapped. I think it's a lot of fun. That is the most correct white item tier list you'll ever see in Risk of Rain 2. We actually did a good job filling out all the tiers. It's pretty balanced. We got a couple on the top, 1 on the bottom. Gross. But that is the tier list. Hopefully it'll help with your runs. Feel free to save it, take a screenshot, keep it for yourself, and let me know what you liked and didn't like in the video. If you disagree, let me know. If you slander fireworks, I swear to God. But thank you all for watching. We're going to be doing this once a week. As you see, green items are next, red items are after that. I'm releasing these once a week. Every Sunday I do an Eclipse run. I'll post that 10 a.m. every Sunday Eastern. And then I stream on Twitch a couple times a week. I'll be streaming actually right after I finish this recording. And we try to climb the Eclipse ladder. I'm working through Eclipse 2 and 3 right now. So hit the subscribe button, go check out the Trento Mento on Twitch. And I will see you guys next time.